The inner child isn't a separate person living inside you, and it isn't a purely metaphorical idea either. In psychology, from Carl Jung's early writing on archetypes to modern approaches like internal family systems, it describes a real part of your inner world, the emotional memory of what it felt like to be young, including both the wonder and curiosity of childhood and the fear, confusion, or unmet needs that came with it. This part doesn't disappear as we grow up. It continues to influence how we feel and react, especially in moments that resemble, even faintly, something from early life. A tone of voice, a feeling of being dismissed, a fear of disappointing someone. When those old feelings get triggered, the reaction can feel disproportionate to what's actually happening in the present, because in some sense, it's responding to more than just the present. Recognizing this isn't about blaming your past or treating yourself as broken. It's about understanding that your reactions have a history, and that history can be worked with rather than simply endured. From birth, children depend on caregivers, not just for safety and food, but for help making sense of big emotions. Attachment theory describes how the quality of these early interactions, whether a caregiver was consistently responsive or unpredictable, dismissive or overwhelmed, shapes a child's sense of whether the world and other people can be trusted. When needs are met consistently, children tend to develop a deep, often unconscious sense that their feelings are manageable and that connection is safe. When needs are missed often, not necessarily through neglect, but sometimes simply because a parent was themselves stretched too thin, children adapt. They might learn to suppress their feelings, to become hyper-attentive to others' moods, or to believe their needs are somehow excessive. These adaptations made sense in their original context. The challenge is that many of us carry the same strategies into adulthood, in a world that no longer requires them, and patterns that once kept us safe can start to create new problems: exhaustion, isolation, or a persistent sense of being unable to relax. Because the inner child operates largely below conscious awareness, it tends to be easier to spot through patterns than through direct insight. A few signs come up often: reactions that feel too big for the moment, a small piece of feedback that leaves you spiraling, a cancelled plan that triggers intense feelings of abandonment, often point to an old wound being activated by something in the present. A persistent sense of not being enough, regardless of evidence to the contrary, often reflects early experiences where approval felt conditional. Difficulty resting or playing without guilt can reflect an early environment where worth was tied to usefulness. And patterns in relationships, struggling with boundaries, repeatedly feeling responsible for others' emotions, or finding conflict disproportionately frightening, often trace back to roles learned within a family system. None of these signs are diagnoses. They're invitations to get curious about a part of yourself that's been quietly shaping your life for a long time. A useful way to understand your inner world is to think of it as containing several distinct parts, each with its own perspective. Two that show up constantly are the inner child and the inner critic, and they're often confused with each other, even though they play very different roles. The inner child carries the emotional memory of early experience, vulnerability, unmet needs, but also curiosity and the capacity for joy. The inner critic is the internal voice that judges and pushes. You should have known better. Don't get your hopes up. You're not doing enough. Often, the inner critic developed as a kind of protector, internalizing early criticism in an attempt to prevent it from coming from the outside again. A third part, the adult self, is the one capable of noticing both of these at work and responding with steadiness rather than either harsh judgment or being overwhelmed. Much of inner child work involves strengthening this adult self's ability to step in, not silencing the critic or indulging the child, but offering both the kind of calm presence they're often missing. Reparenting means providing yourself, as an adult, with the kind of consistent care, structure, and support that helps a person feel secure, regardless of whether you received enough of it growing up. It's forward-looking rather than about blame, and it doesn't require deciding your childhood was bad enough to justify the work. A central idea is becoming your own safe adult, an internal presence that doesn't panic when difficult emotions arise, tells the truth gently, shows up consistently, and takes appropriate action when needed. This includes both nurturing, comfort, permission to rest, and structure, boundaries, follow-through, the same balance a good parent offers a child. Reparenting also shows up in everyday practices, honoring your own limits the way you'd honor a child's needs, building daily habits like rest and nourishment that demonstrate care, and learning to speak directly to the part of you that's struggling, rather than only addressing situations at a surface level. Beginning this work doesn't require special training or even full certainty about the concept. It starts with noticing. When you catch a reaction that feels bigger than the moment calls for, try meeting it with curiosity instead of judgment. This feels like more than just a day. I wonder what it's connected to. It can also help to recall, gently, what you were like at different ages, what you loved, what worried you, what you wished adults had understood. These memories often point toward needs that are still present in some form. For many people, a simple internal statement helps in difficult moments. I see you. I'm here now. It can feel strange at first. That's normal. The goal isn't to get it perfect, but to begin a conversation with this part of yourself that may have been missing for a long time. Healing an inner child wound isn't a race, and most days it won't look like a breakthrough, just a little more awareness than the day before. That's not a small thing. It's exactly how this kind of change tends to happen.